we can start.
We can hear you.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so let me see if my slides can go forward. Okay, so as you know, this is
it's Jeff. Can you do this as a full screen, or do we need to have this layout?
I think you can see my full screen, correct? Or
Nej, det er sådan en.
Okay. Nu det er lidt andet.
Ja.
Det vil gerne være med.
Okay.
1,5%. Det er så åbenbart det vi har i.
One important thing, if everyone could mute yourself, okay, because I can hear now someone talking.
Især for hele billedet. Det er den eneste måde, vi kan gøre det på, siger han.
Okay, so Paul, can you confirm please that you can see the full screen of my presentation?
Yes, I think actually people should be able to control if they want to see that full screen or not. There should be, but I mean I can see your full screen in any case. That's obviously displayed.
Okay, so I hope that everyone can see it as well. If any of you has any troubles, you can please write on the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, so today, as you know, it's the second webinar, which I will make now the short introduction, but for any technical reasons, please mute all your microphones. And if you have any questions or any troubles, please write on the chat, in the chat box, and Paul from FundingBox is here helping us from the web to organize everything from the technical side and the organization side. And well, me and Geoff will introduce you the topics that were planned. So basically, I will do the short introduction. Okay, so it will be facts about the WeldGalaxy first open call. In case if you missed the first webinar, I will briefly tell you about the rules and about the eligibility, and then we will pass to the main point of the webinar. Which will be led by Geoff Melton from TWI, who is the coordinator of the WeldGalaxy consortium and the project. And Geoff will share with us some insights about the innovation in the welding sector, especially focus on the, of course, on the project as well, and also will share with us what will be the technical support that will be providing during the program by TWI. And at the end, we will have 15 minutes for questions and answers. So please write your questions. If you have the questions during the webinar, you can already write them in the chat box. And at the end, Paul will be asking them directly to Geoff or to me. Okay. So as you know, well, first a little bit about me. So I'm coming from FundingBox. So FundingBox is responsible for the open calls in the WeldGalaxy project. And well, I have over 5 years of experience in this field, and well, I'm also managing another project related to the robotics. And Geoff, our speaker, is the project coordinator of the WeldGalaxy project and also technology manager in TWI. And he has over 30 years of experience in the research industry. So hello, Geoff. Can you hear us? Just checking the phone.
Hello, Isabella. Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Okay, so I will pass you later the voice, but just checking if you're with us. Welcome. Okay, so just in short, well, about the FundingBox and who are we? As I mentioned, we are organizing the open calls, and we do it in many other European projects. We are also responsible for the community building, so we also invite you after the webinar to check our website for the other funding opportunities. But today we are here to focus on the WeldGalaxy and the first open call organized under this project. WeldGalaxy, the whole project will build the B2B online platform for the welding industry. Okay, so to enhance the visibility of the welding products and services globally. Okay, so basically the main goal of of the project is to create this platform, which will have many different features created by each of these partners. So I will also later show you a little bit about this, and I think also Geoff has something prepared. But part of this project is also to involve the SMEs to the platform, but also to support the welding industry on the European level. Okay, so here you can see the whole consortium. As you can see, we are many specialized in different parts, and of course we have different tasks in this project. But today we have present TWI, who is the project coordinator and technical coordinator of this project, and FundingBox, because we are responsible for the open call. And of course, the project is funded under Horizon 2020 program under the European Commission, by European Commission. So as I mentioned here, there are a lot of features that the platform is now under the development. And what is important, and what I wanted to mention at the beginning, that it's also important that the selected pilots, selected companies will become beta testers of the platform. So also we should not forget about this. This is also something that we'll introduce you later, but as the WeldGalaxy main goal is to create that platform, we will also invite the beta testers to support us with developing some of these features of the platform. And about the open call, because that's why you're here. So in total, the project has 2.5 million of the equity-free funding that we will redistribute in the 2 open calls. So in the first open call, that is now, we will select 10 pilots, and in the second open call that will be open next year, we will select 15 pilots more. And while those that will be selected on top of the funding will also join the 6-month training program for this welding industry. So the main benefits, I would say, are the technical support from TWI, which is of course the recognized institution in the welding industry. So this part today, Geoff will tell you a little bit more about this, what's under this benefit. Also the business mentoring from FundingBox, okay, because thanks to our ecosystem that we have created for the open calls and community building, we can also engage the experts that at the end of the technical support process will help the solution that you will have to go to the market, okay, or to find the additional investment. So that's our part. Of course, there's also a funding included up to 100,000 funding per pilot, and additional things like the account on the WeldGalaxy platform, the access to demonstration facility, and of course media exposure and I would say prestige of being selected among in this European recognized program. Open call is is open until 29th, so we are now in the last month of the applications. In short, about the eligibility, it's very important before you apply to read the guide for applicants. It's available on our website. This is, I call it, Bible of the applicants. Okay, so you have to read everything there. There are all the eligible criteria in the section 3, but you can also find the description of the program and all you should know about, well, all the details you should know before the applying. But basically, what you should accomplish in order to be eligible. Well, you have to be inside of our scope. So the idea is that we want to find the innovative processes in the arc welding. This technology site or requirement will be also described a bit better by Geoff in a later point. From the legal point of view, well, you can apply as one entity or as the consortium, but you always have to have at least one SME or MidCap. Okay, so this is also important. If you want to know what is the definition of SME or MidCap, you can watch our first webinar, also find it in Guide for Applicants. Another important thing, you have to be from the European or associated country, and all the consortium members should be from Europe, should accomplish this criteria. You should also fit under the technological challenges that we have defined, and they're also including Guide for Applicants and will be described by Geoff. And the minimum technical level is between 5 and 7 technological readiness level. So this is important. And there's also other more technical, like you can apply only once, so multiple submissions are forbidden. You have to apply within the deadline, of course. So all these criteria were already discussed on the first webinar and are written in guide for applicants. So today we're not focused on that, but just to remind you about this. This slide I will also jump and I will leave it to Geoff, but these are basically these technological challenges that you will have to refer to in your application. And in the application form, you will see if you have already started, you can open it and well, just check what's inside. There are some standard sections that we also discussed in the detail on the last webinar, but today I just wanted to remind you about those that are scored. So these are the excellent, impact, and implementation. And I believe that after today's webinar, you will be able to fill that sections better. Okay, so describe your technology, describe the impact and its situation on the market, and also tell us how would you like to work on it, what you will need from us, and what is your plan if you get selected for the training program. So basically today, I think it will help you to fill these sections after today's webinar. And if you need any help on our open call website, you have all, well, in the section guides and documents, you can find guide for applicants, but also frequently asked questions, where we update, which we update every time we receive some answers. Okay, so after the last webinar, we have put all the questions that we are able to write here. So it's also important if you maybe some of your questions might have already been answered in this document. And you can also, of course, contact us directly by email or to ask us in the community. So it's like a public forum where you can ask questions. And basically that's the general overview of the open call. And now I pass the voice to Geoff to tell us about the technology part of the project. So Geoff, are you there?
Geoff, you would just have to unmute yourself.
Okay, right. Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so I need to share my screen.
Yes.
Perhaps I am sharing my screen at the moment.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, can you now see the information about the project?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Okay, let me just start the slideshow from the beginning. So let's get rid of this. Okay, if I click that, will I still be in the meeting?
Yes, definitely. We can see the full presentation.
You see what I mean here? This X. Can I close that?
Say that again, Geoff?
Yes. Can I use the X here to close this screen I have on my right-hand side?
Yes. You should still be able to.
No, that links the meeting. Okay, I'll try and okay. Maybe I'll just lose it somewhere. Lose it down there. Okay.
It's important, Geoff, that we, just for your information, we cannot see this panel. It's only you who sees.
Oh, you can't see it. Okay, thank you, Isabel. Right, I'll carry on then.
No worries.
Everyone, good afternoon. My name is Geoff Melton. I work for TWI. I'd like to start off by saying a little bit about me, about TWI, and then we'll move on to a few words about the WeldGalaxy project. And then I'll talk a bit more in detail about the innovation in arc welding and what we're expecting to see in your proposals for the open calls. Okay, so I say my name is Geoff Melton. I'm the project coordinator for the WeldGalaxy project. I'm also a technology manager at TWI. I actually have over 30 years experience in welding research. Much of that has been spent at TWI, where I've worked, in fact, on 2 separate occasions. But I've also spent 10 years working for a global manufacturer of welding equipment and consumables. So I've got first-hand experience of the arc welding industry and the products, developing products for the industry, as well as the research at the moment, which is more to do with applying those products. I have a couple of other roles which are to some extent relevant to the project, and one is that I am the chairman of Senelec TC26, and this is a standardization committee for what we call electric welding equipment. So for the standardization of arc welding and resistance welding equipment. And I'm also the chairman of IIW Commission 8, which is the Commission for Health and Safety and the Environment in Welding. So, a little bit about TWI, for those of you who don't know TWI. I noticed quite a few familiar names have joined this meeting, so I'm sure many of you are very familiar with TWI and many of you will be our members. TWI is an industry, it's a membership-based organisation. We are headquartered near Cambridge. There is a nice aerial view of our facility. But we also have other offices and support laboratories around the world, including everywhere from the United States to Japan, Malaysia, India, etc., etc. So we're a membership-based organisation. We have about 600 industry members. We're what's called limited by guarantee. So that means we do not distribute profits. So we don't have any shareholders, and we're actually governed and managed by our membership. We have around about 642 employees, turnover of 62 million, and we provide services in R&D, contract research, consultancy, and training. Also, in recent years, we have developed the NSERC facility, and this is an opportunity for people to come to TWI and carry out PhDs. So we also have an educational purpose. Those students come, there's about 100 of them on site, and they carry out their PhD projects supported by TWI and universities around the world. So that's a rough introduction to myself and TWI. I now want to turn to give you a brief introduction to the WeldGalaxy project, the WeldGalaxy platform. The WeldGalaxy project is now has been running for about 18 months, and in the project we're developing a platform, for, as Isabella said, for carrying out business-to-business transactions in the arc welding industry. But I think more importantly, it's to carry out, to base this on knowledge. So the WeldGalaxy platform is all about collecting and using knowledge to make intelligent decisions about process and equipment and consumable selection for arc welding. I would like to stress it is for arc welding, so we're only inviting proposals for the arc welding process and not for other processes such as lasers or electron beam welding, for example. So what we're doing in the WeldGalaxy project is taking information from a variety of sources, and that's information that TWI has, other published information, and equipment and information from equipment and consumable suppliers. And all that information is coded onto a database. And then a user comes into the platform and will then be asked questions and provide information about what they want to do. And that knowledge base will then point them in the direction of the right process equipment and consumables to carry out their weld. So the WeldGalaxy platform starts by somebody who has a need, needs to understand, know how to make a weld. Perhaps they've got a new process, new materials. So they will come onto the WeldGalaxy platform, and through a chat box, they will be asked various questions and provide information about what they're doing and what they require. For those of you who know TWI, I see it's a bit like the duty engineer function at TWI, where our members will phone us or email us and ask us questions to help them solve their problems in the welding industry. So coming onto the platform, we will have that dialogue with the potential customer in terms of what they're trying to weld, what's the composition of the material, Is it thin? Is it thick? Is it plate? Is it pipe? Is it tube? And so on. What codes and standards they're working to. If it's in, say, the construction or products industry, it'll be EN 1090. It may be aerospace codes, so maybe AWSD 17.1, these types of things, so that we can then interrogate the database and come up with the best solution for their problem. And this, through that dialogue, will lead to decisions about which process should be used, which consumables, which equipment, the welding procedures that may be required, qualification and training of their welders and inspectors, whether any preheat, post-weld heat treatment is required, and also provide information, for instance, on distortion. And there is a module on the platform which will do simulations for distortion, information about health and safety requirements, and also in terms of the environment, doing life cycle analysis. So on going through that process of selection, the WeldGalaxy platform will come up with some candidate processes, equipment and consumables, and then the next stage goes on to a more of a commercial level, where we will put the customers in contact with suppliers of that equipment and consumables. So that's basically the outline of what the platform does. The WeldGalaxy platform is still being developed at the moment. This is some screenshots from the platform. Basically, there is a series of windows, and those windows will have, for instance, the KBE, which is the tool that makes the process selection. We'll be able to pull up information about the processes, technical information, carry out simulations as on the right-hand side, and then it will then move on to the candidate equipment and consumables and lead you through that process to purchase. Now, at the moment, the platform is a series of windows, a series of APIs, so we can run each one in turn and demonstrate its performing its function. By the time the open innovation projects are on the way, this platform will be in a position where we'll be able to demonstrate, and then we'll be looking at the companies who are successful in terms of applying for these projects to act as a tester on the platform. But also the outcome of the project should be to provide information, provide data for the WeldGalaxy platform, and also potentially to supply an API, a window, so that their product, their service, can also be displayed on the WeldGalaxy platform. So that is basically what the platform is about. There's obviously a lot more detail in the platform, and you can find that online. So let's now move our attention to innovations in arc welding, and that is really the theme of these open innovation calls. Now, arc welding has been around for a long time. I always say that the arc welding process as we know today was invented in 1904 by Oscar Schellberg, and he invented the covered electrode, the manual metal arc electrode, which we're all familiar with and is shown on the screen. So manual metal arc welding has been around for a long, long time. It's still a process that's used, and it's still an important process in the arc welding industry. It's a very versatile process. It requires little equipment. It's easy to set up, but what it also does need is very skilled welders to be able to make a good weld using the MMA process. So over that period of time from 1904, there have been developments in arc welding, developments in terms of different processes, the MidCap process, the TIG welding process, the submerged arc welding process, for example, are all new process developments. And those processes continue to be developed. Developments in the processes for improvements in productivity and improvements in quality, particularly. And so what we're looking for in the WeldGalaxy Open Innovation calls are innovations to further improve the arc welding process, and that could be improvements to improve productivity. That could be looking at better ways to make a weld in thicker material, in thinner materials. It could also be improvements in quality, and that could be improvements through monitoring of the process to provide us more information about the quality of a weld and adaptive control. Of course, one important development in arc welding is now that more and more welding is done on automated and mechanized systems. So we're also looking for proposals in terms of robotics, automation, and mechanization of the process. So in the call, we have a list of technological challenges which we're looking for people to provide proposals for. And those technological challenges are spelt out in this slide. Systems and tools that support plug and produce manufacturing of arc welding equipment, innovations to improve arc welding productivity and quality, innovations in intelligent and flexible arc welding robotics, innovations to support health, safety, and the environment, and innovations on the life cycle analysis, which is also part of the environment. I say we have a module in there, but also looking for innovations that will provide a better environmental or lower environmental impact. And in the calls, we're looking for, it could be a product, it could be a service that you're proposing, which would meet one of these technological challenges. Okay, if we go through them, provide you a little bit more information about what we're looking for. First one, system and tools that support plug and produce manufacturing of arc welding equipment. Plug and produce is one of the themes of the call generally, the WeldGalaxy platform, and so we're looking for innovations in plug and produce systems, manufacturing systems and tools, rapid prototyping innovations in plug and produce welding equipment, and standards. These are industry standards, and they may be standards for how we connect and interface equipment for arc welding. Remember, plug and play is that we pretty much like plug and play, plug and produce is in terms of having an additional system, object, module that can be added to a welding system, improve the performance of that system. One example may be a module that we attach, is integrated into a mechanized system that, for example, improves the positional accuracy of that system, or perhaps the accuracy of the parameters that were being used to make the weld. Innovations to improve arc welding productivity and quality. That's perhaps a more straightforward one to understand. We're looking for developments in the equipment and the process to enable us to make welds at a higher level of productivity, and that may involve looking at process monitoring and adaptive control, which will also lead to improvements in quality. And there could be that you have some ideas in terms of artificial intelligence, augmented reality, which would help for reducing inspection, increasing quality and productivity. So very much developments in the process control, monitoring, adaptive control, and utilizing artificial intelligence, perhaps neural networks, for reducing inspection, improving the quality in arc welding. Innovations in intelligent and flexible arc welding robots. So again, we're looking for innovations here in robotics. And again, that could be innovations to do with the process. It could be improvements to the performance of the robot. It could be intelligent fixturing. After all, a standard arc welding robot is a very simple device. It's not particularly intelligent. It just makes welds where it's programmed to do so. So innovations would help us in terms of making better welds where we have, for instance, variations in part fit up and so forth. So the next topic is innovations in health and safety and the environment. These are two very important topics, I think, at the moment. Improved energy efficiency. There are increasing demands in making everything in life more energy efficient, and arc welding is one of those areas. There has been recently published a directive on energy using products, which includes the arc welding process. So we're looking at improving the efficiency of how we make welds. That's not just in terms of the efficiency of the energy we use, but also the environmental impact in terms of the raw materials that we use to make a good weld. Also looking at savings in how we can save in terms of shielding gas composition. I think to say reducing shielding gas consumption would be wrong, but certainly optimizing shielding gas consumption so we don't have wastage of shielding gas. Improvements in health and safety. Welding fume is a particularly hot topic at the moment. There's been a change in the classification of welding fume from possibly a carcinogen to definitely a carcinogen, and the welding industry is having to respond to that in terms of the guidance that we provide our customers in terms of how we manage welding fume. So innovations in terms of controlling and managing welding fume would be of interest for these calls. And again, this could be in terms of hardware, it could be in terms of software, it could be in terms of services. So any innovations that would improve the environment, improve the health and safety of our welders would be topics that we'd be very interested in this call. Okay. So they're the outline of the technological challenges that we're looking for people to address in the open innovation calls. The next topic is the technical support for those companies that are successful in applying for funding under this call. And this technical support will be provided by TWI. So I have a few slides just explaining how we can help you with your projects. And to start with a description of the facilities, the laboratory that we have at TWI. As I said, we are based, our main laboratory is based near Cambridge, just outside Cambridge. And you've already seen a picture of our site. Within that site, we have a number of laboratories. One of those is for arc welding, and you'll see here on this slide a picture of our buildings taken from across our lake, and also a picture which shows the laboratory. So within the arc welding laboratory, we have a number of welding bays in which we carry out research projects. Some of those bays are used for manual welding. Particularly in the picture, you'll see the bays with the welding curtains are primarily manual welding bays. And in those bays, we would carry out manual metal arc steel, TIG, plasma, MIG-MAG welding, using a variety of equipments. And on the other area, you can see in the more open area, we have a number of robotic installations. We have robots, we have a number of robotic welding systems, and those are used for MIG-MAG welding, TIG welding, and plasma welding. So part of the project, part of the call will be for us to help you in terms of your development. And we can do that partly by enabling you to demonstrate and run trials of your products, your services within our laboratories, and as you see there. What we also have is many experts in welding. So we can provide you with significant technical support for your project. We have experts in many different welding processes, in fact, all the different welding processes. Particularly for this call, we have our experts in arc welding. So within the arc welding section, we have a group of welding engineers who can provide support and guidance in terms of the welding industry, in terms of standards, in terms of applications for arc welding for the arc welding process, welding procedures, for instance. We have our process specialists, and this is a group of us who are very familiar with the processes and the process development, the application of the processes, and innovations in the processes, particularly in terms of monitoring of the processes and the control of the welding processes. And then we also have experts in terms of robotics, in terms of programming the robots and the application of robotics to a variety of different components in a variety of different industries. We also have a group of people in the materials section. Materials can provide assistance and expertise in terms of a wide range of materials that may be welded in the project. These include stainless steels, carbon steels, nickel alloys and aluminium alloys, for example. But basically a lot of expertise and experience in all types of materials that we can weld with the arc welding process. We also have a group of people involved in NDT and inspection, and this might be part of your application of your project. So we have a big team of people involved in inspection techniques. I've listed a few of them there: MPI, CT scanning, eddy current, ultrasonics, radiography. There are also some more specialist techniques that we have experience of, and in fact have developed at TWI, and they could be used to support your projects as well. And finally, additive manufacture is also a hot topic at the moment, and we've already received questions in terms of whether additive manufacture is in the scope of the WeldGalaxy Open Innovation calls. I can confirm that providing the process that you're planning to use is an arc welding process, whether it be TIG, plasma or MIG-MAG, then that additive manufacture does also fall within the scope of the Open Innovation calls. So perhaps, well, not last but not least, I've got two more slides in terms of support we can provide. Information is also very important, as I've already described that the WeldGalaxy project is about collecting the information together on welding so that we can make intelligent decisions about how to make welds and what equipment and consumables to use. We have an extensive source of information at TWI. We have a library. You can see a picture of it there, and within that library we have extensive source of all types of information on welding. We hold a vast collection of welding journals, books and standards on welding, and this information through our experts will also be accessible to the projects that we select under the WeldGalaxy Open Innovation Pool program. There's also something there actually I've shown is the MI21 database. This is a database of welding consumables that is also incorporated in the platform. So finally, in terms of how TWI can support you, another important aspect I think is market relevance. And so through our industry sectors, we have a number of experts in these sectors, and they can provide guidance and assistance in terms of the market information in terms of their relevant sectors for the products and services that we may be working on in the Open Innovation calls. So that is a run through basically of what we're looking for in terms of the Open Innovation course from a technical point of view, and also in terms of the types of innovation that we're hoping you're going to provide us with proposals for the evaluation. So at that point, I will then move on to the question and answer session, and I'll bring Isabella and Paul back into to this session. I think, Paul, are you there?
I am indeed.
Okay.
So yes, we can get started with the questions from the audience. And we have a first one from Stewart for you, Geoff. Is arc-based additive manufacturing in the scope of the call?
Hi, yes, I think I already answered that question in one of my slides. Just arc-based additive manufacture is in the scope of the call, and we welcome any proposals in that area.
All right. Then another one for you from Gabriele. Can companies that use welding equipment for production apply alone, or would they need to include an equipment supplier?
Individual companies can apply. They need to be an SME or a MidCap. Now, a production company can apply, but remembering the scope is innovation. So if a company is a production company as an innovation in terms of product or service that they feel would be suitable for the open innovation call, then that's fine. Yes, they can apply.
All right. Then a question probably more for you, Isa. Is there any application template available? Pedro is asking this.
Yes, so well, there is no template itself because the application is done through the platform. So you just have to enter the link, push apply now button, and then you can see all the application. If you want, you can also download the application in PDF if that makes it easier, or you can also add the contributors if you want to work with more people on the application. But there is no template because you don't have to submit anything. You just have to fill the online form, and you can open it, check it, and yeah, and see what are the questions.
All right. And is there any extension limit in the application form? For instance, page limitations?
Yes, in each question there is the maximum characters limitation, so you should also check it when you will be filling it.
All right. Then a question from Christian that is probably more for you, Jeff. Are innovations in NDT, for instance, faster and more reliable inspections of wells, also interesting for the call?
Yes, I think any innovations which are relevant to Arc Welding, that would include inspection, would be relevant to the call, and we'd welcome your application. As I said, innovations very much I feel are to do with improvements in productivity and quality, and I think inspection is part of that. So yes, I would include that within the scope.
Okay. Then, well, I don't know if this question is more relevant for you, Jeff, or for you, Isa. From John, how does the project plan to protect innovative ideas? That is to say, for instance, NDA, patents, signed agreement, or something else?
Yeah, I think there are two sides of this, because first is the one in the open call. Then, of course, well, all the information is secret. We do not publish it anywhere, and this is only available for the external evaluators who sign with us the confidentiality clause. So on the application level, it's totally safe. And then if you ask for the training program, then here will probably the answer goes to Geoff. But this is always discussed before you start the training with the institution that will mentor you. So basically, I think, I'm not sure, Geoff, if you want to add anything from TWI side about those selected that will start working with you.
I think, Isabel, I think you've said it all. I mean, these aspects were covered in terms of the agreements between the evaluators, and in terms of the agreements between TWI and the successful projects.
Mm.
Okay, then a very general question from Pedro for you, Isa. How is the submitting process?
Well, that's something that we indeed described in detail in the first webinar. So, I mean, I would advise to go there. I think, Paul, if we can, well, there is on the open call website in the guides and documents bookmark, you can find the video from the first open call where we describe. But basically, in the long story short, it's first we check the eligibility. So all the all the criteria described in the section 3 of the guide for applicants. So if you're from European country, if there are no multiple submissions, if you are fit into the scope, and then those that pass the eligibility check, they are evaluated by, they go to the evaluation by external evaluators. So WeldGalaxy will involve external welding experts, and they will evaluate the proposal according to the criteria also described in guide for evaluation. So basically this will be the section excellence, impact, and implementation. And after that, the final phase is the consensus meeting, where the consortium, WeldGalaxy consortium partners will decide about the final list, of course, based on the ranking made from the evaluators. And those who are selected will be notified probably at the end of June. And between July and August, those selected will pass for the legal check. So basically, we'll also get in touch with you for to check if you have the SME status or if you're not bankrupt. These kind of things that we have to check before signing the sub-grant agreement, which is already the official agreement made for the to join the program. And at the end, well, those that will successfully pass these processes will be invited to Cambridge at the beginning of October to the welcome event, which is the official start of the training program. So that's the short, long
story short. Then a question from Paul that would be more directed to you, Geoff. What exactly is the LCA module?
Okay, the LCA Life Cycle Assessment module is basically, this is a software program that determines the basically everything that goes in to make that weld. So it's a software program that runs and will provide information in terms of the environmental impact. It will take into account basically all the raw materials that go into making that weld and all the energy. So this is not just the energy from the welding process, but also the energy that goes into making the welding consumables and making for instance, the shielding gas that's used to make the weld. So it provides you with a lot of data. It's basically a standardized format to determine what the impact is of making that particular weld.
Okay, then a very specific question from Richard. Can TWI support a test bed to drive higher machine learning statistics for an AI-driven platform?
I think the basic answer is yes, but I need to understand a bit more about the question really in terms of what's required. As I explained, TWI's laboratories are there to demonstrate the product or service that's been developed in the project. So in terms of being able to take the innovation and apply it on a welding system, then yes, that is something we can do. I guess what I'm aware is I think the question talked about machine learning statistics, and that may involve collecting data over a relatively long period of time. We're not a production facility, so we may not be best placed to do that, but certainly the innovation can be demonstrated within our laboratories.
All right. Then a question from Almudena. Could a consortium formed by an SME and a technology center be eligible? And in this case, would both of them be beneficiaries of the grant? So that would be, I guess, more for you, Isa.
Yes, so you can apply with the research center as the consortium, but you have to know, well, that the grant, so the funding is dedicated to SMEs and MidCaps. So the research centers should not receive this financiation. So they can be part of the consortium and participate and help you with the process, but they should not receive the grant. So this is something that in guide we also have it written. They will not receive the funding.
All right. Then a question from Satish. An individual welding consultant working in India, can he or she apply?
That's for me. or who is the question, Paul?
I guess more for you. I think the question is more. I guess if the question is if a company or freelance based registered in India can apply. I think so. I think that would be more for you, Isa. I guess.
So no, unfortunately, the call is dedicated only to European or associated countries, and unfortunately, India is not on the list of these countries. So the answer is no.
Right. Then again, for you, Isa, a very general question. What are the assessment criteria for the selection?
Well, they are described in the guide for applicants. So as I mentioned, these are the excellence, impact, and the implementation sections. And in guide for applicants, you can see exactly what's written. So I would send you to that document for more details.
Okay. Then another question from Stuart. Can partners from a same country be a yes SME and a university? Actually,
it's again the same like with the research center. So basically, yes, you can apply with university, but they will not receive funding.
All right. A question for you, Jeff, from Uwe. Is that platform also covering electron beam welding?
No, the platform is only for arc welding. I think we need to be very, very clear about that. Any arc welding process, whether it be manumetal arc, TIG, MIG-MAG, sub-arc welding, is included in the platform, but the platform does not include other processes such as laser, electron beam, friction stir welding, etc. But I would like to add to that question in that, you know, we've already had some questions about that. And I think if the innovation, although it may have been developed for another process, but if it can be applied to the arc welding processes, then it is within the scope. But the scope is very specifically arc welding, not the other processes.
Okay, and then a question from, well, pardon my pronunciation, Gosel. Is there a specific team or department to work for nuclear power plant pipe weldings within TWI? Geoff.
Yeah, okay. I've just digested that question. Well, within TWI, for a start, as I mentioned, we have industry sectors. So we have people at TWI who have knowledge and work with our members in the, for instance, the nuclear power industry. We, within the arc welding section, have experience of pipe welding within that industry. So yes, we do have experience and capability. I do note the question is also about providing information from TWI. If you go onto our website, www.twi-global.com, then there is more information about the services that we can provide in the power industry.
Okay, because actually another question was asked, can we get information from TWI database for academic study? Is that possible?
Yes, as I say, go onto our website and there'll be some it'll take you to information in that area.
All right, so that was the last question. So I think we've answered the main concerns. So Isa, I guess we can conclude. One more question, sorry. Actually, a couple more. Geoff, here we go again. If you have your own facilities, then does that mean you do not need to use TWI. So if you're an applicant who has who have your own facilities, yeah, maybe you do not need to go to Cambridge.
Yes, I guess maybe you don't need to go to Cambridge. I mean, the TWI facilities are offered for companies who may develop innovations, but they would like to test them in a welding system. If you have your own welding system, it may not necessarily be a requirement to do that. But that is something, I mean, as part of this process, the successful companies, organizations that we're funding, we will then have we will go through a mentoring program where we will agree a scope of work and milestones and how we will measure the success of the project. And I think that's when we start discussing how the project can be performed and where it should be performed. But there's no hard and fast rule that says that the work does have to be done at TWI.
Okay. Then a question from Keith. If your case has more than one tech challenge, such as innovation and health and safety, should both be included in the application, or should these be focused on one? I guess this one may be more for you, Geoff, though I'm not sure. Maybe Isa can also answer this one.
Well, I would say, yeah, you're only allowed to make one application. And so in that application, you need to describe a project to develop your innovation from one technology readiness level to another. I don't quite see how you could have two innovations in the same proposal. But certainly if they're related, then I don't see any reason why not. But I don't think I quite fully understand that particular question.
Yeah, well, I think in a way you've answered it. Keith, if you are willing to, you can unmute yourself to maybe expand a little bit more. Otherwise, we can move on to the next one.
I think, Paul, I think I understand the question better now. Actually, just having another think about it. I think the question was, can your innovation address more than one technology challenge? And in that respect, yes, I would say it can. I think you need to show clearly how you do address more than one technology challenge. But I guess, for instance, if it was health and safety in robotics, that could be considered as two challenges. So yes, you can.
All right.
Yes, and I confirm that in the application form, you can mark 2 or 3 if it covers more. So I would say that this technological challenge is more minimum, that you have to cover this one, but if you tackle others, you can also do it in the application form. But the innovation you can apply only with one innovation. Yeah.
Okay, then comes a question from Almudena again. Could research centers participate as a subcontracting party? Maybe you, Isa.
Yes, but the subcontracting should not cover more than, I think it was 50% of the costs from your funding, so, or from the actions that you do. I don't have the exact number, but there is a limited percentage of the work done by subcontractor that would be financed. So you have to watch out with the subcontracting, that you have to be sure that most of the work is done by SME, by you, or those that are in consortium, and subcontracting usually is used just to support some things, but cannot be the main provider of the pilot or working on the pilot.
Right. So there was actually a related question that is associated to subcontracting. Is there a limit on subcontracting costs? Yes,
there is, but I don't remember. It was 15 or 30%. I'm sorry. It's in the guide for applicants. It is included.
All right. Okay. Well, in this case, it seems that this time we have reached the last question. So I don't know, Isa, if you want to wrap up.
Yeah, I just want to say it's 15% because I just have had a look for the subcontracting. And yeah, that's thank you for the questions. Well, just the 3 tips that we wrote for you. So there, some of them might be important, some of them no, but as you are all here, just how to improve. So the 1 tip is that in the pilot description section, you can include the video. Okay, this is not obligatory, but we invite you to do it because I think it's a good way to show to the evaluators who you are, who is behind the pilot, and who is your team. So this is the first one. In the second one, it's in the impact section. There is the first phrase is about the market ambition and scalability. So just a small clarification that the scalability is like that your pilot is adaptable for the changing needs and demands on its user or client. So if you are able to tackle this under that section, this is also good because yeah, the scalability is also one of the points mentioned in the description of that section. And the last one is about the implementation. So I think after this webinar, as Geoff described you what technical support could be provided, more detailed you are about what you actually need, then better. So this is something that I'm always saying to not be shy because, well, we're looking for the innovations that could be supported and that have needs. So basically, you can describe already what do you think you will need, and you should also tell us what goals you want to achieve with this support. So this is important to see what could be done with TWI and how you will use the grant. So it is also important to say if you will spend it on subcontracting or if you will spend it on the personal costs, on some other or some other things. So this will be also important for us to know.
Isabella, I've added another tip actually. When we last spoke, I'd just like to provide a final tip from my perspective. I think it's very important that applicants describe very clearly what the innovation is in your product or process. I think you need to also be very clear about the market opportunity and also about how you will go about the project, the work plan. So these are the final 3 tips, Jeff's tips on how to write a successful project proposal for the Open Innovation Call. Okay, Isabel.
Thank you, Geoff. I think it was a perfect summary of the webinar, and just for everyone to let you know that we'll organize the last class if there will be any questions on 21st of May, so we'll also announce it in the news. And the video will be published in the YouTube, and thank you all for coming, and to you, Geoff, for presentation. So thank you very much and have a nice day.
Yes, thanks everyone for listening to the webinar. We look forward to your proposals. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.